Welcome to the Houston Huddle, where knowledge meets the game. 3 voices, every angle and beyond the headlines. Xavier Houston is a sports encyclopedia of knowledge, with a deep inside look at the recruiting landscape. From prospects to pipelines, he sees the whole board. Simeon Houston brings it play by play, thought by thought, breaking down the game with logic, clarity, and a deep understanding of how all the pieces fit together. And rounding out the huddle, Martin Houston, national champion, 2-time SEC champion, with insight forged in the field of play, with an unmatched passion for sports, leadership, and life. Together, they take you from the locker room
to the field, to inside the huddle. 3 voices, every angle,
beyond the headlines.
This is the Houston Huddle.
Now it's time to lock in.
It's time for the huddle. The Houston Huddle.
The Houston Huddle.
It's time for the huddle. The Houston Huddle.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share on your favorite social platform. And let's get in the game.
on time for the Houston Huddle. I am Martin Houston, and joining me is Simeon Houston. Today, X is not going to be able to join us on this inaugural kickoff Houston Huddle to the 2026 football season. Today, we're going to be talking about our starting lineup. X sent his starting lineup. Uh, Man, I'm telling you, I'm feeling good, pretty good about the Crimson Tide and what they bring to the table. So we invite you, if you're tuned in on the live stream, whichever platform, hopefully you join us at the Houston Huddle. But if not, you can always catch us at all the other places that we are broadcasting the Houston Huddle. So we appreciate you jumping on there as well. So jump on in. Let us hear from you and understand that we are the Houston Huddle and we appreciate you jumping in with us. It is three voices, every angle and beyond the headlines. Remember that the Lord has blessed us with another day. So take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Not good morning. What's up, Sim? How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good.
Well, hey, it's time. It's hard to believe this is, I guess, game week. Not game week from the sense of a football game, but Alabama reporting this week, and Ryan Fowler and I were talking. They really don't have to report. The way they used to call it reporting was because everybody would be out of town.
Right.
These guys stay here year round, but they will be reporting to the complex, and the coaches will be able to join them this week. So we'll definitely be breaking that down on the Martin Houston show as we move throughout, and we'll continue to break down the coaches over there. But tonight, uh, this episode is dedicated to us getting our starting lineups out there. So we'll be on record, whether we're right or wrong or indifferent. We're giving you our starting lineup tonight. But before we get into that conversation, we have to talk about something that's in the headlines right now as we speak. Another court case, another individual court case that appears to just be throwing a monkey wrench in college sports, college football, college sports as a whole. The other sports may not be impacted by this at all, may not mean anything, may come to fruition, may not, but literally they are opening up. If all this happens, there's another. See, you can't just say that guys get eligibility back. You also have to have a corresponding portal window open. Do you realize how much damage that could do to a roster and to a team? Some of these guys that we're going to name as starters could literally be playing for someone else. The NCAA is the classic example of when they talk about, like you grow up with people, Simeon, and they say they just can't stay out of their own way. They can't get out of their own way. That has to be the best description of the NCAA. They cannot stay out of their own way. And of course, it's not just them. Because of their lack of failure, everything that's happening now is a result of them refusing to move years ago and allowing and forcing people to go to the courts. And now you used to have courts where the people used to just rule and judge on law. Now I think there's a whole lot of I'm getting my opinion out there. This may be, if you had to rank this, Simeon, on a scale of 1 to 10, the higher the score, the closer you think it is to possibly one of the worst decisions made by a court with with a maximum impact. What are you thinking?
It's gotta be. If it's not 10, it's 9. I mean, because when you think about it, especially for football season, you give guys that have signed contracts, have been drafted, that have been at they're in training camp, rookie training camp right now, and you're telling them that they can come back now to college, and they have what, a week, 2 weeks to figure all that out.
Now, here's the thing about that. It seems like, well, they just reported as well. Well, they've been having OTAs. Let me tell you, like when I got drafted, 2 days later, I was in Pittsburgh practicing. Okay. And by this time I had been up there, I think 3 times. This would be my third time. So you kind of have an idea of which guy's gonna hang around camp and which guy's getting cut week one, right? So there's some guys who thought they were ready for the league. In a week ago, they thought their NFL dreams and careers were over. They thought that playing football was done. Because they know they've seen the other guy. And they know if the other guys at every other team looks like these guys, I'm not gonna play. Now they can turn around and come back to college. And it's a temporary injunction. So if the injunction gets lifted, what happens? Are those guys immediately ruled ineligible?
See, that's the thing. You can't now in turn then rule them ineligible, because that's not they were what you can't punish somebody for doing something that was legal at the time.
The NCAA can. Actually, they can. You know why? Because the court went against the NCAA's rule. Just like Bediako was on the team because of an injunction.
But they didn't go back retroactively and punish Alabama for that. So I'm assuming it would carry over to the same thing, that if they're now, weeks 5 of the season, Cam Dewberry is ruled ineligible. I don't think they'll vacate those games before.
They won't vacate the games, but Dewberry is no longer the guy.
Right, but you won't punish Alabama.
No. I don't think they can't punish the school, but they can punish the player who was in an NFL camp, who left the NFL camp, who came back to college, and now they're eligible, and then all of a sudden they're not. That's the risk that these guys are going to take. Here's the other part. This is the part that could really hurt you. If the portal's open, it's open both ways. I mean, from my understanding, if you open up the portal window from August 3rd to August 10th, then there's guys right now that you're counting on to potentially be a starter or a co-starter or to provide depth or to be the starter in your special teams. And he realizes he's not going to be the starter day one. He may be out of here. It's crazy to think about, but what if one of our quarterbacks has seen the writing on the wall? That's not out of the question.
By this time next week, they could very well, at least in-house, know who the quarterback is.
Like, you think you're going to run out there, you think you're going to get the first team reps. And all of a sudden, the other guy's he's the first one out. And you think you should be. Do you jump in the portal on the 9th of August or the 10th of August after a couple of practices? It's crazy. It's scary to think about, but that is the reality. And once again, college football, college sports can't get out of its own way. Once again, this isn't the NCAA's fault. But I still blame it on them because they failed to act and lead when they had a chance to prevent everything that we're dealing with now. They could have put a cap on it. So with that said, hopefully there's going to be more news coming out about that, and we'll break it down and keep you up to date on it, whether it be on the next edition of the Houston Huddle or whether we cover it on the Martin Houston Show with Martin Xavier and Simeon Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. each and every day. Well, you were about to say something else, Simeon, before we quickly address Travis's question and then get into our starting lineup.
Just looking at it right now, I think it is only class of 2022. That is so. So therefore, I don't think Keelan or also. I think everybody else is just so weird. But it's only for class of 2022 that has that has already exhausted their, I guess, 4 years of playing. They can come back. Only to class of 20 that can enter the portal.
I don't know.
That's what at least this new Google
Okay.
search.
Right. That's what they're saying, but the NCAA is putting themselves in a bad spot, Simeon, because they're not going to be able to just hold it to 2022 because their argument is that this is going to impact. Let me read it the way it says it, because this is why I say that it's going to hurt. It's going to open it up because it literally says, um, let me read it the right way. The court's decision is certified nationwide class and grant sweeping injunctive relief with virtually no evidence. Without any witness testimony or whatever, they've just made this decision. It invites further chaos into college sports and irreparably harms thousands of student athletes already on campus. So, if I'm on campus, the NCAA has already said that if this happens, it's hurt me. So now all I have to do is go to court and do what? And say
Yeah,
I'm going
get an
into the portal.
injunction.
I'm going in the portal because the NCAA can't argue me going in the portal because they said that these players coming back will hurt me in a way that I can't even be repaired from. That's how bad the NCAA is arguing this. But if it happens, and then some kid that doesn't like his starting lineup, his place on the depth chart, I'm telling you, he might very well jump into the portal and test the portal not being open scenario. Like think about the kid. uh, There is one kid that's going to benefit from it. The kid from Western Kentucky. I think. Oh, did you hear about him? He,
Ineligible because of missing something.
they wrote that they've put that he failed to report to camp.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he was out of eligibility. And because of their wording, he's not eligible to transfer anywhere. You think he's not going to try to transfer portal now and enroll in some school somewhere? And somebody going to have to prove that he's not eligible? Man, this is just more chaos, make more chaos. Um,
Like, it's August 2nd, and now I've just got nonstop notifications on Twitter or X about this player's in the portal, this player's in the portal, this player's in the portal.
you saying you're
And
getting that now?
just getting that now, and it's mostly basketball from what I've seen, but because I understand why it's mostly basketball, because football is, I mean, I'm sure there are several athletes at their former schools that would definitely want to get that the teams would welcome them back, but it's hard to when they've missed the entire summer, they've missed spring and everything.
You if to go to a new school?
No, I'm just if they went back to their old school. Like, I don't even know how they would. I, that doesn't football play. Football players don't really seem to get a benefit of this just because it's so late into.
Yeah. And if it with basketball, and supposedly Alabama has already tried to utilize it. Like they've already tried to reach out and find a center. I think you said from Michigan State, and I'm sure that there's probably more than that. So schools are taking advantage of it. And to your point, for the others, if this injunction holds, it's going to benefit some programs right now. If they have scholarships left, it's going to benefit them in a way. Or maybe they pay a guy enough as a walk on that it doesn't matter if he gets a scholarship. I mean, think about it. If you're a guy that has eligibility left in basketball, Simeon, and they're gonna pay you $1 million to come, won't you pay for one semester in college?
Yeah, just take it out of the NIL that you're going to
It
pay
just,
me.
hey, tell you what, just give me my money and I'll pay for my own school. I don't need a scholarship. I'm just be a walk on, right? So
His name is big man from Michigan State. His name is Jackson Kohler, 6'10", 245.
another.
Played at Michigan. Played at Michigan State. So decently. I think was pretty good. Just ran out of eligibility, and I guess he just didn't make the move to.
It's not a whole lot of guys make that leap to the pros to the NBA. It's
Yeah, especially in basketball.
only 2 rounds, only 60 or so players drafted, and then you're heading overseas, and so the stateside and make $1 million, $500,000 or whatever for one more year of hooping. You have to take advantage of that. So we'll watch it, but football will it'll throw a wrench in there if any football coaches. I may have to reach out to Coach DeBoer and see what his thoughts are, see if we can get some insight on that. And if we do, we'll bring it to you as soon as we know it. Real quick, Simon, we got Travis 756 asking a question. What are we looking for when they take the field first thing in fall camp? You got an answer for that?
I'm just looking to see how the offensive line as a whole has gelled. I feel like that's the biggest question mark that will trickle down through quarterback play, through running back play, through the two things that we struggled with was the run game. And if the offensive line is much improved, or at least a much better, a unit, I think that'll trickle down through all facets of offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, yeah, that's going to be an obvious. But I am looking to see which guys getting the majority of the reps week one, because if all of a sudden it's a 50-50 split, then I think Russell overtakes him in 2 weeks. If it's not, I think Mac heads in as the starter. He hasn't beat Mac out in 18 months, so will he beat him out in the next 2 weeks? And that's what we're kind of next two scrimmages. Will we see that happen, or will we see Mac named the starter? We'll give you our thoughts on that in a minute. Also, is Bama truly flying under the radar? That's what Saban said, and then he contradicted himself and picked Alabama seventh, picked them right in the middle of the pack. So if Alabama's flying under the radar, he must think everybody else is picking Alabama to finish in the bottom. But media picked Alabama to be number 6. So do you think they're flying on the radar?
Yeah, I do. I think the ceiling of this team is a lot higher than what uh, people are giving credit for. People are saying the ceiling is 10-2. I think the ceiling is up 11-1. A bye week in the first round bye in the playoffs, just because of what Alabama can do. I mean, if this defensive wise, Alabama is safe and legit. But if you look at the offense and those questions are answered, I think it becomes such a different type of ball game and a different team.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily flying under the radar, but I think people are underestimating them, which is slightly different. I think people will respect Alabama and know they have to show up and play. But I think 10-2 is maybe the floor. I think this team is legit 10-2 or better in the regular season. And so that's my thoughts there. If so, is that bad news for the rest of the SEC if Alabama is flying under the radar? I hope that Alabama is flying under the radar. Travis 756. I hope that that's the case. That everybody underestimates and puts Alabama under the radar, and I think it gives Alabama a legit shot to walk away. I know Georgia won't be underestimating Alabama with the record Alabama has against them. So then we'll look at the next year. I think Alabama is 5-0 and 3-0. Start the season 5-0, ends the season 3-0. Those 4 games in the middle is going to determine whether they're going playoffs or going bowling. um, and if they start off with a win against Georgia, I think they come out of that 4 weeks with a 3-1, 4-0 record and potentially run the table.
I think I don't think there's a lot of difference between the first four the first four I guess maybe the top 6 teams. I don't think. I just think it's a really tight and really close.
Yeah, I think they can get it done. So Alabama is really poised, I think, to have a great season. Lisa Rawls Fitz agreed with you, Simeon, in the sense of she said that O line is my biggest curiosity, even more than QB, and I am, of course, curious on QB, but more O line because either quarterback will be legit. Agree with that sentiment. So let's get it started, man. Um, we're gonna start from the O line, Simeon, to the quarterback. Make everybody wait just a second. So let me get Xavier's list pulled up, and then we'll be ready to roll. So ready, Xavier on the right tackle. He has James. Um, who do you got? Javen James is Xavier. Same, check. And I have Javen James, but being pushed by Nick Brooks. Okay. Um, what grade you giving Javen James, Simeon?
A B. A B because I think his experience, his SEC experience is
Legit.
legit, so that'll help.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm giving him a B plus. Right guard,
For me, is Michael
Carroll. Xavier gave Carroll. And only I'm not going to be surprised by any of these. The only difference would be Simeon. Let's say that Brooks, who I think he's repping kind of at guard and tackle. What if he starts showing some stuff? Is it possible that if Brooks were to show great progress at right guard, that they could possibly kick Carroll back out to right tackle?
Yeah, I think it's possible for sure.
What you give Carroll as a grade?
I give him an A.
I'm going with an A as well. Tempted to give him an A plus because I think he'll continue to improve. We got Del Gotti at center.
As well.
Del Gotti at center. Xavier had Del Gotti at center. And guys, like I said, if you're listening for some big surprises right now, there's probably not going to be any big surprises in that O line. Del Gotti, to me, is the guy who is going to another possibility though with Del Gotti, uh, based on team chemistry. I could see Will Sanders potentially. To me, Will Sanders potentially could be that center. um, and give us a little bit more of what we had last year. I think in Brailsford, I think we get more of that, maybe a bigger version of Brailsford. So I'm not counting him out at center. Uh, Next time you give it, go ahead and give your grade, Simeon, when you give their the guy at the position at Del Gotti. I think Del Gotti is going to be a good center for Alabama, um, and I'm going to give him a B plus as well.
Yeah, I'll give him a B plus.
All right. Now the left guard is interesting. Who you got at left guard?
I have Will Sanders at left guard, and for my grade for him, first year starter, I'll give him a B.
Oh, I think I'm a. I know this sounds great. I'm going in, Simeon. I believe in Sanders, the Colonel. We believe. I'm giving him an A. I think he may. I think he very well may be, and I may go back. I'm tempted to give Carroll an A plus, but I'm giving Sanders an A. I think he, and I think it's going to be such a drastic improvement over last year that it's not even going to be close. Um, so Sanders. But if it's not Sanders, um, I think Sanders possibly could drop down to center, and Ethan Fields or Mal Wardrobe. All three of these guys are battling. Sanders would have locked this position up if he had been there during the spring, um, but he wasn't. And since he wasn't there during the spring, uh, it's possible. It's possible that Del Gotti and Fields could win that position. And once again, that's what I'm saying. The A team may be Sanders, but he may be A at center.
Fields. I think Fields is underrated because him and James both have quality experience in the SEC. And I think that means more than we give it credit. I think Ethan Fields was starting at Ole Miss, right? Or at least he
He had some starts there, or
had
he
some starts
he was
at
playing as what's his name saying he was playing starter reps.
right. So that can give him a little bit more of a upper hand maybe on Sanders, especially since Sanders was hurt. Um, and so, but just with Sanders giving, I mean, not Sanders, but Ethan Fields having that being, he's a fifth year senior. I think he has 5 years in his, I think this is his fifth year playing. And so I think that also could give Sanders a little bit of push, but I still going to give it with Sanders with having more time in but also I think Racing Delgado, I think we're not giving him as much respect either as we should, just because he came from a lower
I'm
level.
really not. I'm just saying that I think Will Sanders was was a guy last year, Simeon, that the coaches believe could be a starter. And you just never know how the chemistry is going to work. I think Del Gotti, I gave Del Gotti a B plus. I gave him the same grade I gave Javen James. So Sanders, A plus, and then I think consensus left tackle without any question at all um, is Jackson
we,
Jackson Lloyd, and we have Grubb and others to thank for that. They wasted all but 2 or 3 days, and he's my A plus guy. Okay, I
I
think
just
the guy is going to be. I think we're going to see Simeon in him. I think we're going to see what we've seen in the old Alabama linemen of old, the Cam Robinsons and uh, Quanjos of the world. I think we're going to see we haven't seen that in Alabama linemen in a while. I don't know if he's as mean as Dickerson, but I think he can have some of that. type of influence on everybody else. I think he's that type of player.
Yeah, I just think maybe he might have a couple welcome to the SEC moments
Yeah.
going up against some of those edges. And so, just because like I mean, he hasn't played a lot of college football. He's not one of those guys that has starter reps. And so when you put that up, and there's going to be Alabama, the SEC has some nice, really good edge rushers, and like Dylan Stewart from South Carolina. LSU stole two or three of them from Ole Miss that were on Ole Miss last year. Now they're on LSU, so both of those teams aren't out on the schedule. I think they might try to target wherever they can find the inexperience on the offensive line, and I
Lloyd,
think they might that left side of the line. They might try to cause some confusion.
if they overload him, that's how they beat him. Lloyd is kind of an anomaly for me as well because I look at Lloyd the same way I look at the quarterback position that never started last year. Why was it that we have two guys that we feel really confident in this year, but they couldn't break into the starting lineup? Why was as bad as many of us thought that our left tackle played it last year? Why was this guy never put in there? Why did he never get allow them to pull what's his name?
Yeah,
Uh
I don't. I just don't think. I'm not gonna say politics came into it, but like, not, but football politics. Like, I just think once you got a guy like that with Caden Proctor, you just kind of have to let him.
Go on, get out of here.
Yeah, and I mean, in a nice way, you just kind of have to let him just
That's
play
it.
it out. I know that's usually like, I mean, football fans are like, no, no coach would ever do that. You'd be surprised. Many coaches have just decided to just let something be instead of fixing it then in the moment, because that could cause a lot more damage than good.
Okay. So of all the guys, which guy do you say keep your eye on this guy the most that's not in that starting lineup? That in that wasn't in the five. Which guy, if anybody's gonna be a starter by the end of the year that's not a starter right now, who is it?
You can feel. I've already kind of given him as that second, so I'll go with Nick Brooks.
I mean,
I
no,
think,
Ethan Fields is good if that's what you're thinking. You
yeah,
don't have him
yeah,
in there right now. You have Sanders.
yeah. So I'm gonna go with Ethan Fields just because of his experience in the SEC already. I feel like that's kind of why we give the nod to Javen James at right tackle. So I think that could give him maybe a couple games into the season, give him the edge over Sanders at left guard.
Okay, Brooks has some SEC experience as a true freshman, right?
Yeah, but when you're a fifth year going up against a fifth year senior, I hope a right tackle fifth year senior has a little bit more to give.
Yeah.
Uh, but you never know. There's some. I mean, Nick Brooks could be a generational talent that you can't keep off the field. So we'll see.
He's a bigger, more athletic. He's a more athletic version of the guy we played at left tackle the last 3 years. So it may be hard. He's my guy to keep your eye on. That it may be hard to keep him off the field. Um, and if he's not a starter, I think him and Fields both get starter reps. I really do. And I know that we don't want to see what we were seeing last year, where you don't know who your go-to left guard is and your go-to right tackle is, or whatever by the end of the year. But I do think those guys make a little noise. All right, next, let's jump on the tight end position. Um, Xavier Xavier had the same starting O line as we did. His tight end was Edwards 1A, Ford 1B.
I had Ford in a different position than I have him listed as like H back fullback because I mean during A Day they had our formation, and I think Ford was lined up in the fullback position, and we know what we brought him in from Oklahoma State to be more of that inline blocker. But for my tight end one and two, I had Caleb Edwards as my tight end one, and then Marshall Pritchett as my tight end two.
So you think that Josh Ford is going to be out there first um, because he's going to be he's really the first guy that's not um,
I think Caleb Edwards and Marshall Pritchett give something different than Josh Ford, and I think Josh Ford will be used as more of a blocker. Because if you look at the way he's built versus Caleb Edwards and Marshall Pritchett, you can tell those guys have a little different, strengths to their game.
Okay, I can give you that. I think that Josh Ford is going to be definitely one of the first tight ends on the field, whether that's at the end line or in the H back. But since you broke it out by H back, I'll go with that, and I'll give the same, you know, same nod to Josh Ford there. But he'll also be the first tight end in run formation more than not. When we have an inline tight end and there's no H back, I think it's going to be Josh Ford first. I think 1A, 1B, Caleb Edwards. But I think the tight end room may be the deepest room that Alabama has in terms of the roster. Because when you start looking at the tight end room, man, I mean, it's hard to really you have to get down to what fourth or fifth before you would think one of those guys couldn't be a starter. When you start talking about Josh Ford, Caleb Edwards, Marshall Pritchett, who else they got?
If you count Danny Lewis, we just don't know with his injuries that I mean, because he was fighting to be the starter last year, but never got to play much, just because he was hurt so much.
Yeah, and don't forget you got Jay Lindsey. He's kind of a different type of guy. And the freshman Sutter, in any other room or any other year, he might be part of it. But I think that this tight end room, starting with Josh Ford, is going to be the key to Alabama having a more effective run game. Um, I think he is a difference maker. Coach talked about it on the Martin Houston show. Martin Xavier Simeon, he talked about that how he was pancaking guys and how it was contagious, which means that he was pushing guys to be more aggressive and more physical in that O line. So hopefully that's a contagious bug that's passing. Maniacs, say I encourage you, Maniacs, to jump in. Let us hear from you who your starting lineup is. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit. The O line kind of takes up a lot of time, but tight ends, tight ends, Josh Ford at H back, fullback. Uh, Caleb Edwards, I think, is all of our number one guy. And the third guy, whether it's H back or fullback, the second team guy behind those two, I think is going to be Marshall Pritchett. I think he's a third tight end, regardless of what the formation is there. All right, wide receivers. Let me see. Xavier had Meadows, RCW, Ryan Coleman Williams, and Brooks. Who did you have?
How many wide receivers did we do? Three.
Three. Yeah.
Okay, so I had as my wide receiver one, Ryan Coleman Williams, wide receiver two, Lysir Brooks, wide receiver three, Derek Meadows, 1A, Rico Scott, 1B.
Yeah, and I think you have to throw in there. If I throw in, uh, um, I want if you throw in if Noah Rogers is back, um, then I think he's in front of Meadows and Scott. I think he's a starter. So, yeah. So real quick, we'll come back to the wide receiver because we have a 3-3-4 boy for you talking about he wanted a tight end like OJ Howard and Irv Smith. I think we have one. I think Caleb Edwards is like that. I think Marshall Pritchett is like that. I think Jay Lindsey is like that, and I think Sutter. All of them fall into that category. I think Danny Lewis is actually more of a Howard Cross, uh, inline blocking type of guy. I don't think he's that guy out in space. But I think all of them, and I don't know enough about Josh Ford in the pass game. I think he's a very capable receiver, but I don't think he's OJ Howard, Irv Smith. But I think you'll see them use these tight ends in that way, Simeon.
Agreed. The way that Coach DeBoer he was on the Martin Houston show a couple months ago, we had the way he talked about the tight end room, how they wanted to use more of them, more than just one tight end, that 12 personnel uh, type of formations, and so I think we're going to see more of them utilized on to help with the run game, but also to as passing targets as well.
Yeah, I think he got it really excited. If you ever go back and watch that interview, you can find it on YouTube and Facebook and X. Um, and I think that he seemed to insinuate that these types of tight ends was key to their offense. I mean, like, yeah, we like the wide receiver, we like the run, but tight ends is what because they give us the ability to stretch the field, move. He said he talked about moving guys, shifting guys around. He talked about adding the extra hole, that extra gap in the run game. So he seems to think that tight ends is key to this offense being successful, and I think he finally has a room full of them. Last year he had some talent, but they weren't very old and very mature and very strong. But they've all fixed that. When it comes to the wide receiver room, Simeon, I don't think anybody will argue with the guys. I think the ones you mentioned, um, and I didn't do the eyes to watch, eyes on him from the tight end room because I think all of them going to play. When it comes to the wide receiver room, Ryan Coleman Williams, it's easy. We say, hey, if he has his bounce back year, picked up where he left off, what we expect, big time things coming from him. Lassie Brooks takes a step up. Alabama right there is already dangerous at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Both of those guys are consistent. You have a duo that's better than any combination we had last year. If Ryan Williams hits his stride, Lasha Brooks hits his stride, we have a better duo than Jeremy and Ryan last year, Jeremy and Brooks last year, Ryan and Brooks last year. So no matter how it is, then you throw in Derek Meadows and Rico Scott. Rico started off strong, kind of faded. Derek Meadows was coming on till he got knocked out. He never recovered from the Missouri game. And this is not even counting Noah Rogers.
Morgan, the true freshman, it's
Yeah.
going to be hard to keep him off the field. I'm sure they're going to have some type of package just because you don't have to worry about a red shirt or anything now going into the season for the 5-for-5.
Is he the fifth guy? When you look at that group right now, RCW, Elisha Brooks, Meadows, Rico Scott. If we go five wides, is Sedarian number one in that five wide?
He has to be. I think he has to. I mean, if he goes best of best, I would probably Ryan Lotzier, Noah Rogers, Derek Meadows, and then it's probably either Rico Scott or Sedarian Morgan as that fifth guy.
Yeah, and Rogers is not going to be back for the first 2 or 3 games for sure. Unless there's been some news to break, he's not going to be there. Um, if you have Morgan in your fifth or sixth slot, he's going to be playing as a freshman. So right off the bat, and I think he's not just going to play as a freshman. I think he's going to contribute in the more the season goes along. I hope he'll stick his nose in there and block because that is the weakness that I see potentially in this wide receiver room. Um, just not Brooks and Meadows. Meadows big enough to do it, but will he stick his nose in there? Rico Scott, will he stick his nose in there at 6 foot 198 and block? So Darian Morgan, 6'4", 220. He should. Noah Rogers, 6'2", 201. Will he stick his nose in there? And of course, Ryan Coleman Williams coming in at 182. Will he? Simeon, who's the guy that we need to keep our eye on that maybe we're not looking at, may jump out there, may jump up? You mentioned Morgan, but is there anyone else?
I think just the depth and the talent in this wide receiver room is going to be hard to see anybody else pushing for playing time outside of that first five or six guys. Just so base and the tight end room being as talented as well. I think if there's any slacking maybe from the wide receiver room, they'll look to a tight end to help pick up that slack as well.
Yeah, the eye on him, the person who I think could be a starter that's not in that first four would be Sedarian Morgan. I think you agree with that. I think another guy that could find a play or two uh, because he could be one of these playmakers that shows up is Amari Sab. Um, you
Yeah.
know, he's a tiny window, man. That dude is little, but maybe he's that scat guy that can get in and out of some. He's 5'9", 155. So we'll see what happens with him. Bam Bam saying Meadows is the one I'm curious about. He's a big target, and I think he would have made more of an impact had he not got hurt last year. And I totally agree with that. All right, the two positions that I think we could have a differing opinion on is the running back room. X says Hill and Riley are his two guys up. Who you got?
For me, is Daniel Hill to start the season, but I think probably by Georgia, I think we're going to see a lot of AK Deer and Xavier Crowell. And the reason that I didn't bring up Riley, and I think Riley's really good, but I think if AK Deer and Xavier Crow are playing their best, I think they do what he can do, what he brings to the table that Hill lacks. And so I don't think Hill will lose all focus. I mean, will lose, all of his play time, but I think he'll be used more situational, short yardage. There was a couple times he lined up as the Wildcat quarterback. I think he'll continue to do that this year as well. But I think for first down, second down, and third and long, I think we'll see AK Deer and Xavier Crowell.
Hill could be a guy that takes as big a jump as any running back we've ever seen. He was 240-ish last year, I think. He's down to that 228, 230, I think, this year. I think he's a more athletic guy. I think he's going to be the running back to start the season. But the only reason I don't have EJ as a starter is because I think he missed spring. I think EJ is on a different level than all of these guys, not just Daniel Hill. I think he's on a different level um, offense. I mean, than even AK, and I think AK could be special. AK got some mental issues and some things he has to get through and work through. If he does that, I think AK is going to be special. So starting the season, I got Daniel Hill. I think Riley is going to have his role no matter who the starter is. I think Riley is just, I think he's different. I don't think that they feel like, now, if he's gotten bigger and stronger, he could make a push. They just didn't feel like he was enough, I don't think in the pass protection, blitz pickup, and things like that. He could be tougher, meaner, stronger, bigger, and all those things in year two and be that guy. To me, he's a Warwick Dunn type of player. You can't explain why everybody else, nobody can beat him out. I think he's that type of player. I'm not saying he's as good as Warwick Dunn, but I think he's that type of player. But my guys, by the end of the year, I think it's going to be Crowell. Uh, I think Hill and Deer will be splitting the reps in terms of rotation. But I think now all of this is based on EJ being healthy. I think EJ is one of those throwback guys to the heydays of Saban's running backs, the heydays of my era, the heydays of Bears era, the heydays is all the way back to I think he can play at any time, any season. And I love the fact that his high school coaches had him block and play in the pass game and didn't just pitch it to him and let him run around. So that's why I give him the nod. But Daniel Hill starts. That's where we disagree, Sim. So, um, and don't be surprised if we see a sighting of who? Trayshawn Brown. Don't I mean he flashed in the spring, so don't be surprised. So keep your eye on him. But that's a much deeper room. That's why when Jordan Rogers made the statement that he didn't think any other room, he said last year's running back room was as talented as this running back room. I'm like, it's obvious that you've not looked at who's in this running back room. Even if you just have to say everybody in the running back room is a year older. Hill's a year older, Riley's a year older, AK's a year older, and then you add EJ Crowell. So that has to be talent increase. And then you get a guy that was everybody else's afterthought, Simeon, but he was still the guy who had one of the better springs. Well, here comes the big one. Xavier said, drum roll, please, Mac. His starter day one. All right.
I am agreeing with Xavier. I think Austin Mack is a starting quarterback this year. I've seen on X where people are having some interesting thoughts and opinions based on who the quarterback's going to be. I had one little interaction. I really don't like arguing on social media. But this guy said that Austin Mack was barely serviceable when he got thrown in there against Indiana. And I don't know how 11 for 16, 103 against amazing Indiana defense when you have absolutely horrible offensive line play and no running game. I just yeah.
So Mac was barely serviceable. And what was Keelan in that game?
No service, I guess. But but the thing is though, I feel like I just don't like how society is now. Is that when you instead of just saying I think this guy will start, I feel like when people say give their opinion on who the starter, they have to talk down on one of them. No, I think Keelan Russell is an amazing up and coming talent. I just think right now in this a fourth year Austin Mack is better than a second year Keelan right now. Now, do I think that if the roles were reversed, I don't think it would be a competition. How about that? If Keelan was the fourth year guy, I don't think it would be that much of a competition. That's not the truth, and it is a competition. But I think Austin Mack, just based off of his, I mean, he's a veteran. He hasn't played a whole bunch, but
Why why do
he's
you
been in the system for 4 years.
why do you think everybody is just so sold on Russell and not everyone, but have why are they not as sold on Mac? Is it because of the ratings?
Keelan Russell is the highest rated Alabama commit ever, so of course he should start.
But as a junior, who was higher rated between those two? Austin, I mean, uh, and Chapman family says I believe Mac will start. and Mac will surprise college football. And he says, just go back to the Bryce Young, Mac Jones competition. He believes that this is going to be a similar scenario. I think he's saying everybody thought that the young, talented guy who ends up being a better quarterback, more talented quarterback, but he wasn't quite there at that time, in that moment, in that season. I think, once again, and if you listen to the Martin Houston show, you've heard me say it. I think had Mac came out, there's two scenarios. If Mac had came back for his senior year and we were looking at a guy who he would have been top 3, top 5 ish, because he was top 8 when he reclassified, and that was the year he came out with uh, all of the guys who are the top, quarterbacks.
And
Yeah,
that class, I think.
yeah, the Manning class. He still ended up being a top, 10 guy as a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, right? And they brought him in thinking he would be ready to fight for the job to replace Michael Penix. Now, some people say, well, why didn't he beat out Jalen Milroe? Why didn't he beat out Ty Simpson? I guess because they both outplayed him. I mean, that doesn't mean he's bad. And if Mac wins the job, it doesn't mean he's bad. I'm going with Mac. But I do agree with you. If we had flipped the ages on these two guys, I would say Russell. Um, but I think either way, Alabama has two talented quarterbacks, and I don't have to talk negative about either one. Um, I just look at it from a thought process, Simeon. Mac and Keelan have been competing for a year and a half. Okay. They were competing for the starting job last year, but they were still set as first, second, and third. So for a solid year, Keelan did not surpass Mac. Okay. Not for a solid. Well, it was a solid year because it was Keelan came in last spring and the fall. Then this spring, he did not surpass Mac. I know everyone saw A Day, and the worst thing that could have happened in terms of the mindset of who's going to be your quarterback was if you were a Keelan guy and didn't like Mac, the best thing that happened for you is that Keelan had a great day, and you think that meant that he was far superior to Mac. He was not the starter going into that A-Day game. Mac was hurt, and Mac still tried to play some. So
He wasn't the starter after A Day either. Um, and another conversation I had with on X was somebody compared this to the Blake Barnett, Jalen Hurts competition. How the coaches just lean and give the veteran the benefit of the doubt, and so that's why Mac is going out there as the first guy and not Keelan.
okay, so if that's the case, let's say that's the case. Let's just say that there's nothing that just absolutely nullifies that. So, will Mac be the starter? And if Mac's his starter and he plays well, what does that mean? Do you so if they go with the age because there's no distinguishable difference, Mac may not surrender that job.
Yeah, Blake Barnett went out there and
During the headlights. He was during the headlights.
and if you follow the rest of his trajectory of his career, it was proven that was a little. I mean, that was just the start of a downturn in his career.
Yep. Bam Bam said, I will admit, last year I was calling for Mac to start when it was obvious Simpson was dealing with some injuries. So I'm sticking with him. I think he gets the nod for game one. I think he gets the nod for game 1 and 2. Um, and I think whoever starts the Eastern Carolina game will start the Kentucky game unless they absolutely stink it up. I mean, they have to be like horrible when the lights come on, and that's possible. You can have two guys that battle out in practice, and and then they get in the game, and the lights and the moment's too big. Um, it could happen to either one of these guys. We've seen
With Ty, Ty dominated every single A-Day game, and everybody was like, "Why is Ty not starting over Milrow? Why is that?" And then when Ty got his opportunity to start Nick Saban's last year, well, he didn't start that game, but when he came in for Buckner, he was clearly better than than Buckner, but obviously
not as good as
that he was not as good for the team as
yeah.
Milrow
He
was.
had that one long run that got us down there, I think, for a touchdown or a score. All right, Sim. Anybody else from the offensive side of the ball, any position that you say, hey, keep your eye on this guy?
No, no, I think we've pretty much wrapped up that.
All right. Let's now. Defense is not going to be. I mean, duh. Defense
Defense going to be as
is
hard
going to
as
be. It's going to be pretty easy. Uh, let's go through the obvious guys first, which is the defensive backfield. Um, so let's start with them.
one. I mean, cornerback one is Xavier Brown. Cornerback two is Dejon Lee.
Jack,
Husky is
Jack.
Red Morgan. And then I have free safety is Keon Sabb, and strong safety is Bray Hubbard.
All right. So Xavier
A
had
plus for all those guys.
yeah. Xavier had Hubbard, Sabb, Lee, Brown, and Morgan. So the and you had where let me see, what was his name? Does Dre Kirkpatrick work himself back in there, Simeon? Um,
That I guess
repeat that. You were muffled.
I guess he could. I could see him working back in there, maybe. I think Ivan Taylor is another guy in that Husky position behind Red Morgan that will play some as well.
Yeah, you want me to tell you who they're gonna have uh, a hard time keeping off the field. I mean, I get them mixed up because I think they changed their numbers. Um, Edmonds and Edwards both did. I think it was Jordan.
Yeah, Edward and then Jordan Edmonds.
Yeah, I think it was Jara Edwards. I can't remember which one it was. Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank. Uh, I think it was Edmonds who had the big spring. Um, but I think those two guys um, could potentially make a little noise in the defensive backfield for sure. I think those two guys are two guys that flashed in terms of the defensive line. Okay, I mean defensive backfield, but I can't argue with the ones you said. Husky, the only one. The only one that I would have a question would be whether Red Morgan is the starter or not. Red Morgan is, I think, a physical guy. He kind of concerns me a little bit, Simeon, in coverage.
Remember last year they had Deshaun Jones in there a lot. And then towards the end of the season, Red Morgan ended up taking it because remember his freshman year it was Red Morgan started a bunch and he was it felt like he was slow. I'm not just it just
Yeah,
felt like the guys that he was covering were just running right past him. Last year towards the end of the season, I didn't see that as much.
right.
Uh, him getting
I might
beat,
be holding his freshman year against him.
uh,
I can
but
say
I did think his especially his freshman year, I did think he was on the slower side. But I don't. I mean, it didn't appear to
Kirkpatrick,
be.
I think Kirkpatrick is a thumper.
He's just small. He's just
Yeah, yeah.
compared to. I mean, who are you taking out?
No, I'm saying it would be him and Red Morgan. I
You don't
think
think Ivan Taylor?
no. I'm saying that Red Morgan is a guy that could, um, not Red Morgan, but Kirkpatrick could get out there. He's actually bigger than I thought he was. He's 5'11", 205. Wow. I didn't see that. He's bigger than Morgan. Morgan's 6 foot 190. Did you think he was that
That
big?
he didn't look five. I'm not trying to be funny. He looked more like 5'9" ish. But no disrespect, no disrespect. If he's five, if they have him at 5'11", he's at least somewhere in the ballpark of
Yes,
that
right.
height.
So, and I think had he not got in trouble and some stuff and all that,
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. He because he was playing. I mean, and was not just playing. He was making plays. So
yeah, yep.
definitely
And he likes,
didn't look like it was.
like I said, he's a hitter for his size. He's a hitter for his size, and he has a
Absolutely.
pedigree. He has a pedigree, so I give him a little love there. All right, linebackers, inside linebackers.
Oh. I have Caleb Woodson as my linebacker, and then I like Luke Metz a lot, but I think QB Reese is going to get the nod as that second linebacker, at least to start the season.
Yeah, I think I think they're gonna battle it out. I really do. I think um, Luke Metz definitely is a ball player, and I saw something. I saw him in a practice. I saw him moving out on that edge a little bit, which surprised me in a certain formation. He was the edge guy, the rusher. So that speaks to a little bit more about his get offness and his
And athleticism.
athleticism in space and his versatility. But
He's much bigger
Xavier,
than QB Reese too.
huh?
He's much bigger than QB Reese as well, so that could give him. I mean, he's QB Reese is 6 foot 229, and Luke Metz is 6'3", 233. So
Yeah.
just could give you a little bit more size.
When I see Mets, I think Keekly from um, the Carolina Panthers. Um, I mean, he's a ball player. I
Yeah,
think you see it. He's a hawk, ball hawk. I think and it's not. I'm not trying to be funny, and it's not about the white guy, but to me, I think he's Bray Hubbard at that level.
he has the potential for it for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like when he's a senior, I think we'll be talking about him at that linebacker position the way we talk about Bray Hubbard's impact at strong safety right now. I think he's that
For
good.
sure.
And Woodson, I mean, I think he's locked that down without a doubt. Then the Wolf position, I think that's a given. Oh, sorry. So I'm sorry. Before I go, anybody to keep our eye on from the linebacker position?
No, I think those three are going to be the main three, and I think maybe we might see Bray Hubbard come up a little bit and play in the box more. If those linebackers are a little weak, I think Bray could come in and play in the box more to help alleviate that.
I give you two guys to keep your eyes on. Xavier Griffin from Gainesville, Georgia, 6'3", 222, and Zay Hall, 6'3", 238. I think Zay Hall may be flying under the radar because he's one of those guys that we may be overlooking because he's a local Tuscaloosa guy and he didn't have all the reps, but I think he's a guy that you have to really think about. Now, from the Wolf position, which is a linebacker position, I think we're overloaded in that room. Xavier has Pierre, which I don't think that's a question. I think Yunze Pierre, without a doubt, Simon. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, Janze Pierre, Justin Hill, but mostly Janze Pierre. I think they're gonna have to find another position for Justin Hill to play. Maybe it could be inside linebacker a little bit as well, because I think he is also really, really good. But Janze Pierre is that starter right now. So we'll just see how Justin Hill can get on the field as well.
Yeah, another guy's name that flashed occasionally was Duke Johnson, but I think you could see Justin Hill easily, potentially in third down, being that linebacker, that plays in the inside some. Now they have this guy listed as a linebacker. They have two guys listed at linebacker, but I think they're going to be um, on that other side. Um, Simeon, in battling it out with Tompkins, even though we have it listed as a bandit, I think these guys are going to end up being. Uh, they have them listed at linebacker, not D line, but I think
Mm-hmm.
you have to, and that's Desmond Umanzula. I think he's
Yep.
going to be. I just can't see him being the third guy.
Yeah,
At-
I think this defensive line slash linebacker position, because Wolf is really a linebacker. Um, I have a hard time. I think Alabama has an opportunity to keep a lot of guys fresh.
yeah,
Um, with Justin Hill, Pierre, and I think they just have an opportunity for as soon as one gets even a little bit out of breath, you send Hill in, and then Desmond goes in. So I just think they have
I
an opportunity to keep those guys fresh.
That's what I'm saying. I think Desmond played more of what Tompkins did, even though they have him listed at linebacker. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's the case. And then another guy that we have to figure out what they're going to do since he got a year back. Will they drop him back down, or will they leave him out there? And that's Jamarian Latham.
Yeah,
We forget about that experience.
probably move him back inside. Probably.
Yeah,
I,
or will he be the bandit? Will he be a bandit guy? But once again, I think he's going to be a depth guy, whether he's playing that bandit position or whether he's playing the linebacker guy. I think he'll be on the field some, getting some reps. So,
agree.
definitely a guy to keep your eye on. Now let's move to the bandit position since we've talked a little bit about it. Who you got starting there?
Devin Tompkins, 1A, and then I have Dez as my 1B.
Missoula as your 1B.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's so many defensive linemen. Yeah. That's who I have as the first two guys up on deck. Um,
I just feel like this defensive line as a whole, there's going to be a lot of guys getting starter reps. So I think the 1A and 1B is going to be super true throughout this defensive line.
yeah, and the kid that flashed in the spring was Corey Howard Jr. Um, so wearing jersey number 32, 6'6", 285. Um, he's as big as all the other guys as a true freshman, and I'm sure he's gotten even bigger. You don't realize how big Devin Tompkins is because he wears that number 1 jersey. Um, so I got Devin Tompkins starting. I got Umanzula coming in playing some serious reps. I think you even see Corey Howard Jr. getting out there a little bit as well. So um, anybody else potential you see jumping back out there?
Uh, no, not at that bandit spot. Not.
Now, now I said linebacker. I mean, tight ends may be our deepest room. I may have to rethink that because
Defensive line.
defensive line. I don't even know if it matters which one is which. You know, X has him as D tackle. Nose tackle and D end. He had his first two defensive linemen. as Green and um, Simmons. He had Green and
That's
Simmons.
who I had as my first two as well.
Yeah. Man, I'm
And
gonna tell you, the guy you have to think about before he got hurt, Simmons was behind him, is Jeremiah Beeman. So
yeah,
totally forget he's coming back.
I
So
just forgot how many early in the season, how many guys Alabama lost early,
listen
and
to
it
the
just kind
D
of
line.
went throughout the year.
All right, Simeon, because I don't know that it matters who starts on the D line because I think they're going to rotate them so much to keep them fresh, and so we can be good against the run. Here's a defensive lineman, and you just say yay or nay. The question is, are they good enough to start? Okay, all right, Jeremiah Beeman,
Yes, good enough to start.
Isaiah Faga from Phoenix City.
Hasn't played a ton, but experienced.
Yeah, good enough to
Old
start.
guy,
Probably good enough
old
to
guy.
start, right?
Right.
Um, Edric Hill,
Good enough to start. He played a little bit, yeah.
Steve Bola, Imba Moore. How you
And
say? Yeah, him.
him that people are expecting him because he looks like he's carved out of stone, being as big as he is. Uh, how big?
He's
Do you have it pulled up?
he's 6'4", 301, but he looks a lot bigger than
Yeah,
that.
but also is probably less than 10% body fat,
Yes,
probably.
he's Jordan Roberts. He's Hulk. When I saw them beside each other, I called him Hulk 1 and Hulk 2. Uh,
Jaden Roberts,
Jaden Roberts, yeah. Yep. Steve Bola, good enough to
agreed.
start. London Simmons, you said was your starter. All right. All of these guys, Edric Hill is 287. Everybody else is 300. Faga is 291, 287 for Hill. I think everybody else we mentioned is going to be over 300. Uh, we forget about Kendrick Billingsley Jones.
That was my second guy behind Simmons. I think just because of his experience, coming from Mississippi State as well in the SEC, that'll earn him some play time as well.
Terrence Green.
Big, the Big Ten best conference ever, right?
That's
So
right. That's right.
he played there, so SEC should be a little easier for him, I guess.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's something to think about, Simeon. Guess who recruited him out of high school? He came from Oregon.
Kalen DeBoer.
Kalen DeBoer. Uh,
And,
go ahead.
well, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer recruited him out of high school. It came down between Washington and Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. You know why Oregon won out? Money. But then he followed DeBoer to Tuscaloosa. I like that. I like that because one thing we've
Really,
seen.
really liked him. He
Well,
really, really
one
liked
thing.
DeBoer.
What have we seen from the guys who followed DeBoer to Tuscaloosa?
Quality.
I mean, you name them: Brailsford, Bernard, Cuevas. I would say easily those are the best three offensive guys we had. Maybe we can get the same thing on the defense.
Over the last 2 years, you could definitely say those were the top 10, top five impactors in DeBoer's first 2 years
All right,
offensively.
we didn't get Xavier. We didn't get Xavier's. Anybody else you're looking for? I think we got. I think both of those units, guys, are are overall A+ units. I mean A units, not A+ yet. I think the defense is an A+. I think the offense is going to be an A. I think they're going great out as an A. But special teams, Sam, who you got winning the job? Do you have who?
Lorcan Quinn. winning the as the field goal kicker, but I have Connor Talty still doing
Kickoff.
kickoffs,
Uh,
and then and just because he's Connor. Now, one thing about Connor Talty, not that great at field goals, but was really good at kickoffs. I think punter will be Adam Watford from the transfer from North Alabama.
huh.
I think
He's
that's
originally from Dothan. Um,
yeah, what
uh,
they started.
do you know a guy named Anderson Green?
Yeah,
One of your
yeah,
old high school teammates, right? So,
yeah. One of the young guys my senior year,
yep.
freshman, I think.
And we agree on those two. I agree. Adam, punter, first man up on the punter, and then
Tucker Cornelius. They're both at Alabama now.
yep, yep, yep. Hopefully, they both will get to get a chance to run out there for the Crimson Tide. Who you got as your specialist return guys?
I have Ryan at yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have faith in Ryan. Ryan as punt returner. I think Brooks might get at kickoff return, and I guess there has to be another guy for kickoff return as well. Uh, I think Dejon Lee did it a couple of times, did he not?
Who?
Dejon Lee. Did he not?
I think so. I'm always leery of a DB catching punts. Of course, one of the best to ever do it was Arenas. So I guess throw that out the.
Yeah. Or maybe Ryan might do kickoff and punt.
No, I would say not this year. Um, Need him too much on the other side of things. I think you could easily see Brooks potentially as a punt returner.
So
Um,
you don't think Ryan will be punt return at all? You don't think? Like the ball, like that could be another way just to get your
Touch.
most electric player the ball.
Yep, I could
And
see him.
Alabama,
Yeah,
who know, especially early in the season, Alabama might be struggling. They might need every advantage that they can get. And like Cole Adams last year was great and was amazing, but he wasn't that much of a threat for return wise. He was just solid on catching everything.
yeah.
And if you can trust, Ryan with catching the ball, if he can get that, if he has that confidence built back up, I don't see why that might not be something to help maybe bolster the offense at the beginning of the year.
The reason I think you also may see Ryan is I think um, Alabama lost virtually all of their special team, 70% of their special team guys from year one to year two. This year, they're bringing back 70%. So I think you will see a much better return game. And I think we'll have a better punter, and I think we'll have a more experienced kicker than what we had last year. I know we will. So special teams is going to take a huge leap forward, but I think that punt return is going to become a. I think it's going to win it, not necessarily win a game or two potentially, but it's definitely going to put this young offense in better position. That's why I think you may see Ryan because the blocking is better for him. But I also think Brooks could be one of those guys. You could see that, but will they try to use that to get maybe one of the younger guys out there like a Rico Scott or an Amari Sab or one of the athletic defensive backs? Will they put one of those guys out there to catch those punts? Have to show themselves to be trustworthy because that's big time. That's big time, and it's not for the faint of heart. Kick. I don't even know if it matters on kick return. That's such a minute, irrelevant
They
part of.
might mostly fair catch it now because they get it at the 25
Yeah.
nowadays.
So it's really not that. I don't know that it matters who that is. Um, but I think you'll see a couple of the wide receivers back there. And I think Noah Rogers is a guy once he comes back that could be a punt returner down the road if health is not an issue. So, any other comments? Anything else you want to add, Simeon, before we get out of here?
Just, I think Alabama, I might be, having my crimson colored glasses on, but I just think for overall this year, I think this team has the opportunity to be special. Maybe not just the most talented team on paper, but I think this team as a whole, if you saw Xavier Brown talk about it on SEC Media Days, you heard them talk about how much of a team they are and how much the continuity that they enjoy being around each other. And I think that goes a lot farther than people give credit for, especially in the days of like NIL and having a new team every single year. This is a lot of the same guys didn't lose too much, and there's a lot of guys that have played several downs together. And even though the offensive line might be inexperienced or not have that much continuity, they enjoy being a team, and we heard that from William Sanders when we had him on the Martin Houston show as well. So I think from hearing a defensive player say how much they enjoy being together, and then someone on the offense saying they enjoy being together as well, I think that bodes well for just having a lot of team chemistry. And I think chemistry can win you a game when late into the season that can boost you a little bit.
Yeah, and it can hold you together, push you to work harder during the off season um, when everybody's rowing in the same direction. We heard Sanders say it. We've heard Xavier Brown say it. We also heard Coach DeBoer say it. He said this. He said, "I love last year's team and how they came together and how they pushed together and was kind of forged into that team that went on to win the SEC regular season." He said, "This team has a lot of that, but what they have even more than that is they love to be coached. But not only do they love to be coached, because the other groups have loved to be coached, they are asking for coaching. And when you take all of those elements, I think it bodes well for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think it bodes well for this year's season. If I'm going to give an overall grade, I'm going to give special teams a B plus till I see otherwise. Um, I'm going to give the offense an A minus. I said an A earlier, but I'm going to drop that down a little bit. But I think the A minus is much improvement, and I'm going to give the defense an A plus. And I think an A plus defense, an A minus offense, and a B plus special teams unit is enough to have us dancing at the end of the year and in a position to make a run at a national title. The question I don't know is what every other team in the country has. So that's why I have to be a little leery to say I think we're the best team in the country. I don't know that, but I do think that starting lineup, and it's all contingent on health. If that offense stays healthy, the defense has depth. Offense needs health to stay healthy. Simeon, I think they can be one of the top four teams standing at the end of the year.
I think you're a little bit more optimistic than I am. I think Alabama's a playoff team without a doubt. I think 10-2 is very much within means. I think this team, Coach DeBoer, third year here. I think this team won't take anybody for granted. There won't be any, first year game of the season. You saw Bray Hubbard that slacking where he could have made the tackle, but didn't. I don't think you'll see that. I don't think you'll see a letdown from the coaching. I don't think you'll see a letdown from the players as well, because we've had that. We've had one game a year where it's been an obvious, or at least one game a year that's been an obvious letdown. I mean, if you go back to Coach DeBoer's first year, if they take care of business in Norman, Oklahoma, that they're a playoff team. If Alabama takes care of Oklahoma or Florida State, they're in a totally different mind space, and the fan base has a totally different perspective on what this team is. But because you've had those two letdown games or three letdown games in these 2 years, You don't give yourself the benefit of the doubt, and opponents and fans don't give you the benefit of the doubt. But I believe this year they won't have any of those letdown games. So I think, like you said, 5-0 and 3-0 at the end of the season, which is taking care of teams that Alabama talent wise is better than. But I think these those four that October stretch, beginning of November stretch, if they can go 2-2, they'll be fine. But I think they have an opportunity to go 3-1.
And we'll talk about more of this on the Martin Houston Show tomorrow at 6 a.m. So we invite you to join us there. Simeon, I think the 4-0 game, the four teams in the middle of the year, it's possible that they could go 4-0. I think it's possible they can go 3-1, likely somewhere in the 3-1, 2-2. But I think if you were to move those to four playoff games and Alabama having a full season under their belt, I think Alabama could beat those teams uh, after a season if you were starting fresh. I think they could make a run through those 14. That's why I say if they get into the playoffs and they're healthy, I think they will have enough maturity, enough experience, enough through the SEC that they could make a run to be because they would only have to win two games if they get by 2 games to be standing at the Final Four. If they were to get there, I think Alabama wins as many SEC games this year as they did last year. 7-1 last year. I think they'll be anywhere from 7-2 to 8-1 this year. So looking forward to it. I know I have crimson colored glasses, but I also believe that there's more to this team than what we've seen. And I think a year difference between the coaching staff, the players, the scheme, and everything, it bodes well for Alabama and Kalen DeBoer in year 3. This has been the Martin Houston. I'm sorry. This has been the Huddle. The Huddle with Martin and Simeon. X will be with us, God willing, next time. We'll be back next Sunday for sure at 6 p.m. It's the Houston Huddle, 3 voices, every angle, beyond the headlines. You can hear what you're not going to hear anywhere else. So like, follow, and share, and also make sure you mark down to get up and out of with us at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, right there on whatever channel you're tuned in on. We'll be back tomorrow. And this is Martin Houston, and that is Simeon Houston. It has been the Houston Huddle.